I am Kevin Iole, and I will be in Anaheim on Saturday for UFC 270. And there hasn't been a heavyweight fight I have been more excited for than the main event of this one. Ciryl Gane, the interim champion, going up against my guest right now, the Predator, Francis Ngannou, the UFC heavyweight champ of the world. Francis, if you're not fired up for this one, I don't think people have a pulse. This has got to be a great fight, don't you think?
I do think so. I do think so.
You know, you and Cyril have a little bit of history together. You train.
We do not. We do not have a history together.
You were training partners.
No, we train. If we do train a few times, which might be maybe 6 times in a lapse of a time, and that was it.
Okay. So there's not a real personal thing there between you.
No, we don't even know each other. This supposed personal thing between us is just a drama that they are making. But personally, we don't have a personal things between us. You know.
I think you got a lot of people talking when at UFC was it UFC 268 Madison Square Garden. You walked down the hall and Cyril and your coach, former coach Fernando Lopez, were standing there, and you kind of walked past them and didn't acknowledge them. And I think a lot of people started taking from that there was a rivalry with you guys.
There's a rivalry. I mean, you're going to fight a guy. You are going to the octagon on Saturday, and you're going to try to take each other heads off. Yes, obviously there's a rivalry, but other than that, there's nothing. The reason why I walked past them wasn't because of him. You know, I mean, even though I don't really see why I needed to acknowledge him. He's my opponent. He's not my friend. He's not my coworker that I met him in the office. I'm gonna go grab some coffee for us. You know, it's my opponent.
Right. So you take it that way. Now, when you defeated Stipe Miocic, a lot of people thought this was the beginning of the Francis Ngannou era, and you even talked about maybe coming back and fighting very quickly. Fighting maybe even as soon as June. What happened? It's now 9 months, and not that that's a long time, but from a guy that said he wanted to fight really quickly to now having a 9-month gap between when you won the title and coming back. How come you didn't get back in the ring quicker when you seemed to want to do that?
Well, before I fought Stipe back in March, in the past 2 years, I have fought twice, and I always wanted to fight. So what's happened is the same thing that happened in the past 2 years. It's not on my control. And then it's not on my control, and obviously there have been a little bit of disagreement, but overall, it's not on my control.
When you chose to wait when the UFC was going to put on that Stipe Daniel Cormier rematch, that kind of affected you.
I didn't choose to wait. I didn't have a choice.
So they didn't offer you a fight?
No, I always asked for a fight. I get to a point that I asked for Shamir, which at the time was the number 10 on the roster. I wanted to fight. I
asked that question of the UFC, and they said
no, that's wrong. No, that's wrong. We've been sending email and text messages asking for a fight. Okay. I've always done that. So if somebody says I chose to wait, then that's a false response.
Okay. All right. So how much do you think that hurt you then, because you've had those big gaps of time off, and, big guys, they seem to be better with activity, right? If you're fighting more, do you think it hurts your career at all, those gaps that you've had?
I don't know if he hurts my career, but I do know for sure that he hurts my pocket. Basically, I do that for a living. That's what I need to do to provide. That's my job and my only job. So when I'm restrained of doing my job, yes, it hurts my pocket. Definitely. I mean, from what I'm making, it's not like I'm making the money to be set up for a lifetime or for years. So yes, I really do want to keep fighting, but as I said, it wasn't on my control.
We talked to Dana White Saturday after the show, Cater and Chikazi show, and your name came up, and people ask about, hey, all the talk is about Francis's contract and Francis not fighting, and not about the fight. So with that said, let me ask you this question, Francis. You've won, I think, in your last 7 fights, you've been performance of the night 6 times. You're one of the most exciting fighters in the world, one of the best fighters in the world. They are a fight promoter. It doesn't make sense that they wouldn't want you to fight. So do you think it was just like, you guys needed to get together and talk? Why hasn't that gotten resolved? Because that seems like a thing that would make sense for both sides. You want to fight and make money. They want to promote good fighters. Why couldn't you guys get together and talk?
Well, we tried. We did everything that we could. We begged for a meeting. We went there. We did everything that we could, but why? I don't know.
Okay.
Like, if you ask me exactly, like, why we are where we are right now, I don't know. I feel like at some point there wasn't a good faith in this situation. Like, honestly, that's my personal feeling. I might be wrong, but that's how I feel. Because there is not a reason why things would be here. They always claim to like people who want to fight, and since Junior Dos Santos fight, I always want to fight. I always want to fight. They said, no, a title fight, no interim. I'm like, doesn't matter. Give me a fight. They said, this is book, that is book. Yes, give me this guy. Oh, no, he's number 10. It doesn't make sense for you. This. Okay, find me a guy. So I don't know.
Now, do you defend the title? And I want to get into the fight because that's what people care about, not this stuff. But do you think that being down there, you fight this week, that maybe everybody's together, that you'll be able to resolve the logjam, or do you think that Saturday will be your last UFC appearance?
Oh, honestly, I don't know. Once again, every fight could be your last UFC appearance because they have a contract over you that they can decide whenever they want to cut you. So you don't have a go about it. People fight, go home, sleep, wake up in the next morning, find out an email that they are cut. They are no longer part in the UFC, and you can't do anything about that. So as far as that, I can have an accurate answer for it.
Now, what do you expect? Cyril looked very good in his win over Derek Lewis. You fought Derek as well. I know Derek had an injured back, and there was things going on with you at that time. Wasn't the best fight that either of you two ever had. Cyril looked very good against Derek Lewis, and now he's the favorite. I think a lot. He's becoming the darling of the public to a certain degree. What is Cyril's strength, and how do you have to beat him? What do you have to do to be successful against Cyril?
Well, no, that's the wrong question, Kevin. Excuse me, I'm the champ, and the question you should be asking Cyril, what did he have to do to beat me?
I asked him that question, but now you got to retain. So
no, you go to ask him, no
I
me.
Did.
Well, I gotta do what I've been doing to beat people, because that's why I get where I am. Obviously he's a tough opponent. He has some skills, and I think like such as every fighter in this level. But once again, I think I get disfigured.
Do you think, his coach, Fernando Lopez, obviously I mentioned before, coached you. Do you think because Fernando and the way he works, that gives you an advantage going into the fight, like that you kind of know maybe what their plan might be and how to attack their weaknesses?
Well, if I have to stick in the plan, in the fact, if I have to consider the fact that I have changed or evolved my game a lot since I last worked with Fernand, then I would have said maybe he has changed his own. Then he would be wrong to say I know him, because like I'm clearly nothing to do with the guy that he knew back then, and then I assume he might be different as well. So it's kind of tricky.
Is there still beef with you guys? I mean, are you guys cool? I mean, what is the relationship, if any?
Well, I think it's clear that is in the past. No, no more needed to be, no more say, no more things needed to be said about it. It belongs to the past.
Okay. Now you're Eric Nixick, one of the best coaches in the business. You know, I think Eric Nixick to me is an unsung coach. You know, maybe doesn't get enough credit. What role do you think Eric Nixick played in helping you get to where you are now to become the UFC heavyweight champion and to the point where you're going to defend the title against Ciryl Gane on Saturday?
Well, he's definitely like one of the best coach out there, and then maybe underrated, as you're saying. But I remember the reason why I started to work with him. He was after he was at the Junior Dos Santos fight, you know, and being having a toxic relationship with coaches, you know, they don't really want something like that to happen. But for some reason, I kind of like get a chance to be in the fight with Eric, and then just love his energy, man. You know, so then from therefore, I'm like, this is the kind of energy that I need, because like I really believe that fighting is a mental game, and it doesn't matter which kind of training you have. If the energy around you is not right, you can't perform well, you know. So as long as people, and that's why you will see some people just have their dad or even their girlfriend with them, which know nothing about this game, but it helps them to be in the the right mindset, and from there on they can perform the best. But if you have the best techniques ever and you are not in the best mindset, oh, you won't do shit. And I know that by experience.
When you have this like you have, and I mean, there's not too many people I've ever seen that can throw that punch the way you have. You always have a chance. I want to ask you this.
But your mind control everything.
Oh, of course.
If your mind is not right, you won't believe in this.
I agree with that. I agree with that. The one thing I wanted to ask you is, have you ever hit a guy in a fight and go, oh my God, is he okay? Like, have you ever gotten worried like that you hit him so hard that you might have really seriously hurt him?
No.
Because you've had
no,
some
really.
You've had some that were pretty spectacular.
Yeah, when you watch it after on the tape, it's different than when you're there fighting. Sometimes you don't even believe that you hit him, like you truly hit him. You know, sometimes you still like, oh, maybe I clock him. I still need to finish him. You don't even know that he's cold dead.
I want to wrap up with this. You know, I didn't ask you about the rumors of, you know, I mean, I think you talked about it. Tyson Fury challenged you to a fight. I want to ask you this. You know, he just came off three fight series with Deontay Wilder, who's purported to be, and I think fair enough, one of the biggest punchers of all time. Deontay Wilder couldn't knock out Tyson Fury. You think that you have the kind of power that if you got a chance to fight him that you could do what Deontay Wilder couldn't do?
So how do you know that Deontay Wilder is the biggest knockout punch power of all the time?
I said I think he's one of the biggest punchers of all time. I didn't say he is.
Yes, he's one of the biggest doesn't mean the biggest. I might be the biggest.
Okay. So well, we'll see what happens, man. Well, first, Ciryl Gane on Saturday night at UFC 270. Francis, thank you so much, my friend. Good luck to you. I'll see you in Anaheim on Saturday.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Francis.
Bye.
Be well.